Hello crafty friends, it's Donna here, and I've got a set of 4 Christmas cards to share with you today. I'm slowing the pace down a little bit with some not quite white on white cards. These cards are all going to be made with this hanging Christmas ornaments border die. This is from Paper Rose Studio. This type of border die cuts a strip from the center of your panel, or the side of your panel, depending on where you want to lay it. I'm going to start with a panel that's centered. I'm taping that down so that it cuts everything out nice and vertically, and then poking out the extra pieces. The simplest way to make this kind of die into a card is to add a piece of patterned paper behind. I, of course, being me, am complicating the issue just slightly by making my own pattern paper using not quite the right products with a technique that I'm not familiar with. So we're going to cut through this fairly quickly. I'm making an alcohol ink background. I wanted it to be very pale blue and silver, which is why I've tipped off some of the extra ink and added a little bit more colourless blender. Honestly, if you want to know how to do this, I reckon you should find someone that knows what they're talking about. However, I'm happy enough with my panel for what I need, and so let's get on with constructing some cards. As I mentioned earlier, the simplest way to make cards with this type of die is just to glue it down onto a piece of patterned paper. And then you can just add a sentiment and you already have a lovely card. I'm going to use sentiments from this Merry Christmas sentiment set from Paper Rose Studio today. And so that it lies flat, I'm just popping a little piece of extra card across the bottom. So there you have it, the first and the simplest way to use this die. But if you want to mix it up a little bit, here's a few more ideas. This time, I've cut the border slightly to the left of the paper and I've added silver glitter paper behind. I'm going to add one of these White Christmas embossed die cuts to my card. So when I glued those baubles down, I actually left one of them without glue so that I could glue it afterwards on top of that snowman. Also, so that the sentiment stands out when it's white on white, I've added a little bit of that silver glitter paper to the back of that as well. This is a fun way to add a little bit of quirkiness to this card. For the next card, I'm going to add a little bit of colour to the die cut itself, rather than having the colour in the background. And I'm doing this with some pale coloured Copic markers. But you could also ink blend this quite easily if you masked off the sides. Once I have my colour, I'm going to also add some little tops for these baubles, and that die is part of the set. I've cut these from silver, and I'm just gluing those carefully to the top of each bauble before I assemble the card. This time, instead of gluing everything down flat, I'm going to add a little bit of height by using some foam tape behind each side and also behind each of the baubles. I've chosen a sentiment from the same set, but this one is black, and so I'm just running around the outside with a Memento Tuxedo black marker so that the white core of the cardstock doesn't show through before I add that to the card. Finally, I'm going to do my most white on white card, the most restful of them all. I'm using some white glitter paper and cutting off each of the baubles. And then I'm going to cut the whole die from white cardstock, just as I've done for all of the other cards. I'll add those white baubles with some glue, and then I'm going to attach those little silver holders to the top of each bauble. My favourite part of this card is the sentiment. I've used just the word Christmas from the Merry Christmas layered die from Paper Rose Studio. Although it comes with a whole lot of parts, this word Christmas is just so delicate. I thought it was perfect for this side. It's slightly longer than these cards, which are US sized, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which means it will be long enough for European and Australian sized papers as well, and still stretch from end to end on the card. That's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed these cards. I'm really enjoying having a more restful vibe in my life and in my card making at the moment. and so I hope that you have enjoyed that too. Feel free to like or subscribe, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye for now.